say good luck.
What is the end game?
Say it? It's already run out. That's why we're doing what we're doing. Yeah, they had 60 days and a big, 60 days, plenty of time. And they made a mistake. Honestly, they made a mistake. Their country's in ruins. So many people are dead that shouldn't be dead. It's a very sad thing.
We got to talk about this whole Iran situation a little bit, but not what you would expect, because there's something else that has been going on, and that is, I wouldn't even say a feud, okay? I would say a disagreement between Tucker Carlson and Uncle Trump. And I know the left, of course, has tried to make this bigger than what it actually is, because, of course, when you're a Democrat, you can't disagree with the mainstream narrative. If you disagree, then you're a right-wing extremist or a dictator, or you're a dictator sympathizer, right? A Putin sympathizer. But let's jump into this a little bit. I don't want to bury the lead here. And so we have it here. The real divide isn't between people who support Israel and people who support Iran or the Palestinians. The real divide is between those who casually encourage violence and those who seek to prevent it. Between warmongers and peacemakers. Who are the warmongers? They would include anyone who's calling Donald Trump today to demand airstrikes and other direct U.S. military involvement in a war with Iran. On that list, Sean Hannity, oh geez, his former co-worker, Mark Levin, Rupert Murdoch, Ike Perlmutter, sorry if I'm butchering that name, and Miriam Adelson. At some point, they will all have to answer for this, but you should know their names now. Wasn't Miriam Adelson one of the individuals who, I want to say she donated $100 million to Trump's campaign? Or it was some big number, maybe 50 million or something to his campaign. Wasn't that her? Miriam Adelson? I believe that was her. Correct me in the comments if I am wrong. But Tucker also spoke out about this, and I want to play the clip of it, so check it out.
I actually really love Trump. I think he's a deeply humane, kind person. I actually really love Trump. I think he's a deeply humane, kind person. And I am saying this because I'm really afraid that my country's going to be further weakened by this. I think we're going to see the end of American empire, obviously. Other nations would like to see that, and this is a perfect way to scuttle the USS America on the shoals of Iran. But it's also going to end, I believe, Trump's presidency and effectively end it. And so that's why I'm saying this.
What do you mean by that? That's coming from you. That's
you get. Look, I knew Bush. I knew George W. Bush. We had, family connections to Bush. I knew Bush personally. I still see Bush sometimes, and of course, he hates me, and he does because I criticized him on Iraq, and that war is the sum total, from a historical perspective, of his administration. But I knew him, and he had all kinds of plans for the things that he wanted to do. But once domestically,
right,
to improve the country.
Right.
And you may agree or disagree, but in his mind, he wasn't just about the invasion of Iraq in March of 2000.
Oh, no. He was going to redo Social Security. He had all that, all
100%.
Types of. He was going to take care of the entitlements issue.
And he really thought it was going to work.
Yep.
And you could laugh at that or whatever, but the point is, the second you get enmeshed in a real war, not a fake, let's go bomb the villagers and declare success, though we don't even have a good track record. Why are the Houthis still there?
No,
there's a whole other question,
right,
which is how prepared is the U.S. military for a real conflict? And the answer is totally unprepared. Scary unprepared. I don't think people understand that. But anyway, the only reason I'm saying any of this is because I really, really care.
I don't mind Tucker Carlson disagreeing. I think that is healthy. I don't think having everyone in a political party all agree and all repeat the same things is a great way to run a party. I mean, look at the Democrat Party. I think people like Tucker are necessary. People who push back a little bit, not necessarily, because I don't think Tucker is just pushing back just simply to do it. I think he genuinely believes what he's saying. But I do think some pushback is good, right? Some people in the party who are like, I don't know about that. Why should we do this? I think that's great. I think that's phenomenal. And it also proves that we aren't what the Democrats say we are. We aren't a dictatorship. We aren't a party who just bows down to Trump. Even I've disagreed with Trump. That 1,500-page bill that they shortened to 150 pages, I was like, and Uncle Trump was like, yeah, let's get this passed. It's 150 pages. Let's go ahead and do it. I was like, bro, if I was in Congress, hell no, I'm not signing that. No, I'm not voting to pass that bill. It's 150 pages. I don't care if Uncle Trump said, yeah, go ahead and make sure that passes. No, shorten it down to 15 pages and you got my yes vote. Why does this need to be 150 pages? What the hell are y'all putting in here? You know? And actually, all of y'all agreed when I said that. So this whole narrative that we just bow down to Trump is just crazy. Trump also responded to Tucker, and I want to play that clip. So check it out here.
So he's done really a very good job.
How was your response to Tucker Carlson criticizing you, saying that you were complicit in the war?
I don't know what Tucker Carlson is saying. Let him go get a television network and say it so that people listen.
And quickly, have you spoken to...
So he's done...
Obviously, he was making fun of Tucker being fired from Fox. But one could argue that he has a bigger audience now than he had before. So, I don't know. This is what Uncle Trump had to say. America first means many great things, including the fact that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Make America great again. Somebody please explain to Kooky Tucker Carlson that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Hey, I ain't mad at that. I agree with that. On the other hand, I'm not someone who wants to encourage wars, who wants to champion, oh yeah, let's get involved in this war, and let's get involved in that war, and this war, and that war. But I think there is a place where sometimes, I don't want to say necessary. I think, so I see both sides. Let's put it that way. I see both sides. I see Tucker's side where he's like, bro, why are we getting involved into something that doesn't directly affect us? But then I also see the other side where it's like, yeah, we don't necessarily want to get into war, but we got to stop these folks from having these destructive weapons. Because if they do, it could ultimately come back to affect us, right? So I see both sides, and let me know in the comments which side you kind of sit on in this discussion, because it is a big topic of discussion, right? Because you got a lot of folks with like the whole Ukraine war, right? Where a lot of folks, including myself, where I'm just like, bro, that's not a war. Why are we in it? Why are we involved? Why are we sending money to these folks? Why are we involved in any way, shape, or form? Let them people stand on their own 2 feet. That's the way that I see it personally. Let me know if you agree with that. But then obviously, you know, in situations like this, it's a bit of a different situation. You're trying to prevent someone from having some very destructive weapons that could potentially be used against us in the future. So how do you feel? Now, there is something happening, and I want to show y'all this, okay? Here are 25 air tankers allegedly en route to Europe. You can see all of these different planes taking off right there on your screen. So, yeah, something's happening. Something is happening, whether you like it or not, because this doesn't look like a training that is going on. This looks like something intentional. These are big tankers, okay, aerial tankers, underway to an I can't even talk. I'm talking like Joe Biden. Unprecedented number of U.S. Air Force KC-135 and KC-46 aerial refueling tankers have departed from air bases across the United States and appear to be preparing to cross the Atlantic towards Europe. Yeah, big aerial tankers, man. Aerial tankers. And if you're sending over that many aerial tankers, you know something is about to go down that's real serious. Real serious. And here is those eventual flights, some of those flights that ended up going over to Europe. So, yeah. Woo! Something big is about to go down. Like I said, that does not look like a training exercise to me. That looks like strategically placing some of these in locations where you think you're going to need some aerial refueling. And if you got some aerial refueling going on, that means there's some bombs being dropped over some long distances. Interesting stuff, man. Interesting stuff. Here's Uncle Trump getting asked a silly question, but check out his answer.
Have you been answered questions about whether you are moving closer, or you believe the U.S. is moving closer to striking Iranian nuclear facilities? Where's your mindset on that?
I can't say that, right? You don't seriously think I'm going to answer that question? Will you strike the Iranian nuclear component? And what time exactly, sir? Sir, would you strike it? Would you please inform us so we can be there and watch? I mean, you don't know that I'm going to even do it. You don't know. I may do it. I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do. I can tell you this, that Iran's got a lot of trouble, and they want to negotiate. And I said, why didn't you negotiate with me before? All this death and destruction. Why didn't you negotiate? I said to the people, why didn't you negotiate with me 2 weeks ago? You could have done fine. You would have had a country.
Why didn't you negotiate with me 2 weeks ago? I warned you. You know, and also on one hand, I do think that once you come out and you say something like that, you can't back down. You can't. I feel like that's when the peace through strength really comes out, you know, in my humble opinion. But let me know in the comments if you disagree and why you disagree, why you feel I'm wrong or why you feel I'm right. But I feel like that's where the peace through strength line really comes into play because, hey, I tried to make sure that this didn't happen. You guys ignored me, poo-pooed me, and now look what's going on. I warned you. I gave you a timeline. You fell through, not me. And there are consequences for your actions. I told you this. When we spoke the last time, I told you that there will be consequences. So if that was the conversation, and I'm not saying it was, although I do believe Uncle Trump did say something like that. I think I remember a clip. He didn't say those exact words, obviously. He doesn't talk like that. But if that was the basis of the conversation, hey, let's negotiate. I'm giving you a timeline. If you don't follow this timeline, there will be consequences. If that was the basis of the conversation, I feel like now you got to follow through. Now you got to follow whatever that means. And based on the aerial tankers, one could make an educated guess. But you got to follow through. You can't back down now because now if you back down, now everybody else is watching. Our enemies are watching. People who don't like us are watching. Oh, okay. So they'll kind of switch up on what they said. Oh, so we don't have to take them that serious. No, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Because if you don't, and listen, and I think this is one of Trump's greatest attributes. He's a wild card. Nobody truly knows what he's going to do. He's not one of these individuals where you're like, oh, yep, he's going to war. Because in all likelihood, he probably won't. Or, oh, no, he's just going to back down. That may not be the case either. Because if you piss him off, you're going to F around and find out. You guys remember when he was talking to the, I can't remember, Byron Donalds and I can't think of the gentleman's name. They told the story when he handed the guy the picture of his home. They were sitting down. He pulled out a picture of the guy's home that was supposedly hidden, right? The guy didn't think anybody knew where he lived, and Trump pulled out a picture, handed it to him, and walked out of the room. Now that right there, that's some. Could you imagine being a leader of another country, feuding with the U.S., and the leader of the U.S. hands you a picture of your home, the home that you think is completely hidden, nobody knows where it is, you've gone through 1,000 different measures to try to keep it hidden, and he just casually hands you a picture of the home where you live, and you lay your head down at night, and you planned on returning to that same night, and he walks out, and he says nothing to you. How scary of a moment would that be? How far would your stomach drop? Oh, man, that would be a scary moment right there. I would not want to be in that position at all. But anyway, let me know your thoughts and your opinions on all of this. It's a lot going on, man. Do you guys agree with going to war? Do you disagree? Why? Why not? Do you agree with how Trump is handling it? Do you disagree? Talk to me. Peace and love. I'm out.